Alrighty, thank you guys for joining us today on this presentation on LinkedIn and what you should know on how to make your profile stand out. My name is Grant Smith. I'm one of your College of Business student ambassadors, and I also serve as president for the American Marketing Association here at UCF.
And my name is Melanie Rivera. I'm also a marketing major and event management minor. I'm the current communications chair for the College of Business Ambassadors. Grant and I really both have this amazing passion for everything that has to do with marketing and communications. And we really know the power that LinkedIn holds for us students when we're really on that internship hunt, as well as our seniors who are currently looking for job opportunities as well. So for that reason, we wanted to make this video with lots of tips that you can utilize to improve your LinkedIn profile and just make it the best that it can be.
So I want to give a little special welcome to our guest speaker today, who's going to be talking about LinkedIn profiles. Stephen Brandstetter is the Director of Recruiting for Crawford Thomas Recruiting, and part of his job is to pretty much look at LinkedIn profiles every day.
Stephen is also part of the Expert Advisory Group, also known as EAG, and a proud UCF College of Business graduate. Thanks for joining us, Stephen.
Thanks for having me, both of you guys. Happy to share some of my insight and wisdom and give some best tips and practices here.
Awesome. So as ambassadors, we strive to be the voices for our students. So a lot of these questions comes from business students like ourselves. So to jump right in, Stephen, what are some practical tips that students should look out for when searching for an internship or job opportunity on LinkedIn?
The biggest thing that I would say is actually apply. I can't tell you how many times I get a message during the day that someone would say, I'm interested in this job or about this there, but no one actually applies and get in the system. And unfortunately, I know everyone wants to find a friend or connection, but it's important to play by the rules. You're also setting a good example to show, hey, I can be a good employee, I could be a good internship, I can apply and do that one there. So applying is the first step, and I would encourage people to apply freely. There's 1,000 jobs out there and they're always moving. I think people get stuck on one specific job. So real practical advice is to actually just do it and take action and not wait to get started. And then let the technology use to your advantage. There's a feature on LinkedIn, there's a couple of features, but one of them in particular is you can essentially raise your hand and say, I'm open for new opportunities. Now this feature is hidden from your current employer, so your boss or your teacher can't see that one there, but it lets everyone in my world know, hey, if I reach out to you, you're gonna pay attention, you're gonna take a look at it there. So I would use that one, but LinkedIn has taken that a step further, and they do it for mentorships, mentees, and all sorts of social things like that one. So whether it is a mentorship or a job, first apply, but then use the tool and the technology to your advantage.
That's really good. I had no idea that LinkedIn provided that for mentorships as well. So kind of moving to our next question, a lot of students want to know how much of your paper resume should really be transferred into the LinkedIn profile?
Another great question. So this one's a little bit tricky. So I like to start by saying resumes are a commercial for yourself. Make a good commercial. LinkedIn has more features than a piece of paper, so definitely go out there and make it as inviting as you can. And you can have some discrepancies a little bit on your LinkedIn profile, but essentially for a lot of companies out there, it's a quick way to do reference checks or background. So if your job history needs to be identical to your resume, because the worst thing you can do is turn on a resume, someone go look you up on LinkedIn, and you're looking at two different people. That creates doubt. There's a sea of candidates out there, and you want to eliminate all that one. So I think it's important to have it. You don't have to be the exact same things, but the core functions do need to be the same.
Gotcha. Thanks for that insight. Moving on to the next question, we got skills, endorsements, recommendations, all on LinkedIn pages, but they're usually towards the bottom of most people's LinkedIn profiles. Do recruiters tend to look at a lot of those when choosing candidates, or what's the process like for that?
Well, I think you kind of hit it there. They're on the bottom for a reason. They're not as relevant in today's kind of search and things like that. Most common recruiters in my world, you can filter out by skills or recommendations, but that's a third, fourth level tier of filtering you're going to do. Now, I'd say if you have a technical skill where there's a certification or anything like that one, I would 100% put that. And I would almost go all the way and put it in your tagline or your name, so people see that right away. But kind of like you said, some of those recommendations and endorsements are kind of so far down the page, they're not as important. So I wouldn't put too much weight on those.
That's really good to know. So kind of going into our next question, as we know, there are different types of social media platforms, sharing platforms, and as students, we find ourselves in the situation where we want to be relatable, but at the same time, keep that level of professionalism. So can you kind of tell us what is appropriate content to be posting on our LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, Great question. And with all social media, it's a tricky kind of waters to wade in there. And I would always say less is more, especially if you're on the job market looking for a new position or an internship. You want to be careful about what kind of content you put out there. Now, if you're a marketing major and you're writing articles, you should probably publish all the time. But if you're an accounting major, I don't think you should be publishing as much and things like that. So you have to make it specific towards your individual and your background. But I would kind of say less and more. And the big thing with LinkedIn is what you like, comment, and share. So maybe not so much of what you personally post, but things you like or share. If I'm applying for a job and I see the HR manager really likes Tony Robinson, I'm going to like Tony's stuff. I'm going to highlight it there. I'm going to show some commonality there. So there's ways you can be active, but not personally be active, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. So as part of our little final question to wrap things up, in terms of building your network on LinkedIn, should people go ahead and add any connection that they can make, or should they try to structure their network to some sort of specific industry? What are your thoughts?
I think this is another one that people sit on both sides of the fence there. Kind of as a corporate recruiter, I take any and all connections I can get. I think I'm probably up to 17,000 or something like that one. It's just one of those worlds where I have connections that I probably don't know, but when you're reaching out for jobs, I would connect with everyone you can, because it's important. You would try to connect to the person posting the job, but they might not accept your invitation. But if you connected to 3 or 4 other people who also work at their company, they're, oh, I'm going to talk to Steven because he knows Bill and knows Jill, and then so I would be irrelevant with that one, but I would not be afraid to connect with everyone. It's a tool out there. It's free. You never know where your next opportunity is going to come from. And so why close any doors?
Steven, thank you so much for joining us. We really did enjoy having you here. Thanks for taking the time to answer all these questions that students have when it comes to LinkedIn.